Again, good morning. I'm Dustin Rawls, Assistant Director for Statewide Services here at Tennessee Higher Education Commission. And my colleague Mark Pativioke is our Direct Admissions Program Manager. We're here to give you updates on what's going on, where we're at, bring you up to speed on what to expect the next few weeks, answer any questions that you may have. So the short version about what's going to happen is Mark's going to update you all from this past Monday leading up until the letters should be received here in a few weeks, color in some of the gaps that you may be wondering about. Then we're going to open it up for questions and answers. If there's anything that you need to ask for clarity about the entire process from now until November, we encourage you to do that. I just finished mentioning, but you're going to be able to unmute your microphones and your cameras. You can turn them on if you want to ask us questions live. You're also welcome to use the chat feature to chat in questions. We've got some colleagues here that can help answer those questions through the chat, or Mark and I may call them out and answer them live over the presentation. So, and again, finally, this is being recorded and we will share this back out and update it to our direct admissions communications page. You can go back and watch any of these things later on. So we're so grateful that you're here. Mark, thanks so much. It feels like this is a broken record. We're doing this a whole lot, but I'm glad that we have a full room this morning. So as I prefaced, tell everybody here, kind of give us an update from the data pool this last Monday and what they can expect up until a few weeks when the letters should be arriving.
Thank you, Dustin. And again, I'm Mark Pizzavioke. I've been the Direct Admissions Program Manager since last September. So you probably heard my voice a lot and Dustin's voice a lot, and we're very grateful that you all are here. So just a little reminder, for us to pull a student and create their letter, we need to have two things. We need to have a Tennessee Promise application on file and the GPA on file. Once we have those two things, we start working through the process of generating the letter. So this past Monday, the 17th, we had around 25,000 applications, Tennessee Promise applications, and then we had around 355 schools provide us GPAs. Between those two things, we had around, I think it was like 19,000 students that we had a Promise application for and a GPA to start generating those letters. And so from that process, we're going through our testing right now to ensure that GPA and ACT match what is being generated in terms of the file to generate their letter. So we're testing that right now internally. From there, that will then go into our enrollment page, where that's where the students will be able to claim their spots. That generates a URL that will come back to us, that we will turn into a QR code, send to printing. Printing then will take their time testing, making sure everything's working on their end, and then they will start to print the letters and mail them out. We think that process, both groups, our PPR team, which does our enrollment page, they're taking about 10 business days of their testing, and then start to finish with printing, it should take 10 days for them to test, print, mail, insert, and mail the students' letters out. From there, then we will print the bulk letters that are going to the counselors, and then put them in a box and send to you all. So you all may have like a couple days lag from when the students receive their letters to when you receive their letters. And so we're working through that process to hopefully streamline it, to make sure that it's not like 2 weeks after that. But it will take some time for us to print, sort, stuff them, and get them into the boxes and mailed to the school. And so we think there's probably like a week delay-ish around there, around when the students' letters will be printed and mailed, and then when yours will be mailed to you. But the students will receive their letters prior to you all at the schools receiving your bulk. From there, we're working through how or we're working to the next data pool, which is September 8th. That's the Tuesday after Labor Day. we're working through that and how we need GPAs again. We need students to do promise. As of this morning, we're up to around 30,000 promise applications. We're just over 30,000. And so, again, if they did not have a promise in prior to the August 17th at 11:59 p.m., then and we have their GPA, then their letters will be started to generate on September 8th when we do the second data pool. And so we're just really working through that. We need students to do their promise applications, and we need GPAs. If you did turn in GPAs and you get a new student, or you see that a student didn't have a GPA or anything that needs to be added to the file, you can add to the bottom of the original file if you've already turned that in, and then resubmit it. Again, the deadline for that is September 8th. We say noon, and that's so that we can get and that's so that we can get the GPAs uploaded so that when we do the data pool for the students who have done promise, it's a seamless process, and we're not waiting for GPAs. We're not matching backwards, we're matching forwards to the student. And it just makes things a little bit easier. And so that get that date again is September 8th. If you need that file, you can email me and we can start working through that process. Dustin, do you feel like we need to talk about anything about that process in between there?
I don't, unless there is any clarity there. I got a question in chat. I'm not exactly, I'm sure I understand, but counselor asked, is it possible for counselors to receive the bulk letters in a soft copy? I would have, if that's, I would, I'm not quite sure I understand what a soft copy is. If that's the same as a digital copy, we're working on it like through an email, but that is, I need a digital. So we are working on that.
I don't know if we're going to get digital delivery of the letter this year, or like a file. We've talked through that. As of right now, the only copy that is going to counselors is the hard copy, the bulk mail to you all. The other things we're working through, but I cannot make any promises that that's going to happen in a timely fashion, but we are working through it. But as of right now, the only way that you will receive the student's letter is a hard copy bulk mail to you all.
We are working on the possibility for a mass email to all the students that submitted their promise applications to let them know they can access their letters through their THEC student portals. That is a potential stopgap that we're working on in a process towards a delivery of a digital PDF of their letter. So we're working on it. But it's a huge program, a huge mass amount of code that's got to be written to do all these things. It's a process. And so thanks so much. We're trying to work through it all. Does bulk
Yeah.
mail mean that we will get a copy of each of the letters or a list? You're going to get copies of the letters. So counselors at schools, we're going to send a batch bulk of all the letters that were in the first round to the counseling center at each school. It's not going to be addressed to a specific counselor to avoid the potential for somebody there for it getting returned. So they're going to be addressed to a generic counseling center. And then from there, you'll have copies, backup copies to all the letters that were in each batch of data pools, if that answers that question.
And just for clarity, it's not even to the counselors. It just says if you're at Stratford High School, that's where I used to work. It's just going to straight say Stratford High School and have your address, but there will be a sticker on there that says direct admissions, so that it can be differentiated from all of the other. But it's not like for us to do all that and match printing and all. It's just a very difficult process. And so as of right now, we're matching CEB code with the high school, and it will be addressed to the high school. We're working on, like Dustin was saying, like the students that are getting an email saying, hey, your letters are coming in the mail. We're working on whether we can do that for the counselors through the emails that were provided when the GPAs came, just saying, hey, your letters are on the way. But that's, again, we haven't worked through that process. We hope to get through that process. But as of right now, we're kind of limited in that process currently. So we are working through that. But each letter will be individually stuffed into an envelope. And so it won't just be a stack of just all the letters. You'll pull out the envelope. It will say Mark Pativio, my address, and then like the letter will be inside said envelope. And so it will be separated out somewhat. And that's kind of where the process is getting where a lot of the testing for that process is happening is like ensuring that they can do it to where a person isn't single-handedly just uh, having to pluck every single student for each school out, that the machines will sort through that for us and we'll be able to make that process quicker.
What is the process to upload new students' GPAs for those counselors whose district uploaded the GPAs? Do we need to communicate with the district? Um,
Let me answer.
yes, I
So
wasn't even
I've
gonna. Yep.
I've we've worked with all the people that mass uploaded. So there's 3 districts that mass uploaded: Knox, MNPS, and Shelby. So I went and then made all the files for the schools, and then I will share them out. I've shared them back to Knox and MNPS. I have not done that for Shelby County yet, but they will then have the files to share back with you all to be able to add the students. That was the best process that we could create. So they provided me a mass file. I split it into each school's file, and then we'll share them back with the district, and then the district will share them to you all.
Um, Hope that made sense. So, and thanks so much. To clarify, if counselors want to see the letters for our records, we'll need to open each individual student envelope. Are the letters being sent to the schools going to be enveloped, or are they just going to be in a manila
They're going to be
enveloped?
each student's going to be individual out. So like Dustin gets his, I get mine. They're going to be stuffed into an envelope and then put in a box. So each individual student's letter will be stuffed in an envelope within the box.
The theory is that these are backup copies, and so should a student lose theirs, then you have a backup copy available to provide a student. Each of you can do what you want to do, and so you can hand them out as soon as you get them. If you do, I would consider scanning and digitizing it, and so you have a backup of the backup. And so however you want to secure that locally, so that way there is a world where both two physical copies get lost. And so but as a reminder, there's always the digital option, and that is just to remember that every student can interact with their direct admissions online enrollment form through their THEX student portal, formerly known as TSAC student portal. Log into their THEX student portal. There'll be a link at the top of the page that takes them directly to their individual direct admissions enrollment form online. So where can I find the TELS financial aid summary? Like the one that we hand out from our outreach specialists live? Susan.
While we're waiting for that
Go ahead.
answer from
Yeah.
Susan, Suzette asked, can the QR code on the letter be accessed more than once? Yes, 100%. But as soon as the student claims their spot and finishes the enrollment form, that is closed. They can scan it and it will take you to it. But once they scan it, it will say, thank you for submitting your enrollment form. This is a good time to make the point of once a student claims their spot, they cannot go back and then go backwards and then reclaim another spot. Once they complete their enrollment page, it is complete. And then if they want to apply to schools that they didn't choose on their enrollment form, um, they will need to do the traditional application. They can claim 2 spots or a spot at 2 community colleges, 2 TCATs, and 5 4-year institutions. So yeah. Is it possible to include a stack of letters not in the envelope for the counselor college advisor for our records? The best way we can do it as of right now is by stuffing them in the individual letter and then send them to you all. Again, we're working through what else we can do, but in terms of privacy and making sure that we're keeping them separated and all the different things, because there's 3 pages of letter. So there's the governor letter, there's there's an information, and then an information page, and then the students' universities that they're eligible for, to make sure that those stay together, and privacy and all the different things. The best we could do is stuff them together, stuff it into the individual envelopes, and then send them out.
This will take a lot of time on our end due to the sensitive nature. We cannot necessarily ask for assistance. We're not asking you to open them. Just to clarify, so when you get the bulk letters, you don't have to open them. They're backup copies for the students. You can just house them, and should a student need it, you're welcome to. Yeah, when you open it for the student, we don't have a mechanism yet to provide a PDF, so it's the best that we can do. At that point, once it's opened, I'm going to recommend you scan it. But if you don't, that's your process, and so.
So just, I understand that the envelope being stuffed and the letter and everything creates just another step for you all. This was the best that we can do to ensure that you all got a copy of the letter. And we will take all these suggestions and hopefully be able to give you digital copies as we move through this. But as of right now, the best we could do in terms of when we bulk mailed them to you all in the process, was to, they had to be stuffed in the envelope and sent that way. And so we're very sorry. We understand that this is adding a step to you all. But we thought that the letter being there was more important than we can either do two things, not deliver the letter or deliver them the way we are. We thought that the best thing would be to deliver the letter.
What other questions might you all have that we can provide clarity on? Because we don't want to, take any more of your time than is necessary. We're really here just to provide some updates from this past Monday up until the letters being received, and what we can provide for clarity or confusion that you need to know prior to your students and you all receiving letters. So please take opportunity in the next few minutes. We'll monitor the silence, and unmute to ask a question, raise a hand to ask a question, or chat in anything that you need to know, so we can answer. No, the letters cannot be sent presently as PDFs to counselors.
And just so you all can understand the whole aspect of everything. So all those 18,000 letters currently are in a single file, one single file. And so when that letter goes, or that file goes to printing, they have one single file that they are pulling the data from to create the PDFs to be able to send or start printing and then send it. So if we separate it by school in CEB code, then that means the printing would have to then upload each individual school's file and then print and then stop, print, stop, upload the file, all that. And so it's just one big file. So when they provide us the PDF of said file, it is all 18,000 students' letters, all 18,000 students' letter in one big giant file.
Sorry, trying to monitor the mute so we can all, yeah.
And so for us, then we would have to split out every single high school's file from that 18,000 letter file. And that's just kind of how it's created and everything. They are also created in terms of what it looks like on the print side. So there's blank pages and all the different things. We are working on possibly digital delivery of the letter, but I don't know if we'll get to that for year 2. We have developed a lot of different things to try to fix all the issues in terms of getting you all a letter and all that. So that was just a little bit of how everything works, just so you understand, like, it is not just like, each school's PDF files and we're just holding them ransom. It is just a giant PDF of all schools, every single student. And that's just kind of how it has to work through printing and all the different things.
Do students need to complete regular applications for scholarship purposes even after completing their direct admissions forms? Yes. So once a student, once I'll answer this question a little bit more globally. The direct admissions process is meant to alleviate some of the pressures and difficulties with the student's college application, the college application process, which we know is a barrier for some students. And so this program essentially eliminates that, providing direct admissions to institutions. And so at that point, schools may ask for supplemental questions being answered. But from that point forward, after a student interacts with their direct admissions enrollment form online, they accept their spot at their school. The school sends them supplemental questions to ask. From that point forward, the rest of the process is acts historically like the college application process. So students can't apply for institutional scholarships until they've been admitted to that institution. Once that happens through the direct admissions portal, that student then is responsible for applying for institutional scholarships from that school, in addition to departmental or college or departmental scholarships from that same school. Whatever that school's mechanism is for institution specific scholarships at that point, students would need to do that as usual, as they've always done. Great question to provide some clarity there. Have you heard if schools not on the direct admissions list will still offer free app codes for students? And if that is the appropriate question for this forum, it is the appropriate question. Historically, our agency has partnered with institutions to provide those free app codes for College Application Exploration Month. Because of our partnerships with the majority of institutions in direct admissions this year and moving forward, that is the mechanism that we're choosing to partner with. So we are no longer gathering out all the schools that are providing free application codes for a day, a week, or whatever time it is, and distributing that statewide. There are a number of schools that are not direct admissions partners they've been made aware of this, and it's their responsibility to communicate that out to students and parents via their social media platforms on their school's website. If we see some social media posts or other mechanisms, we will amplify that. In other words, we will like it, resend it, share it. We will do that. But just to clarify, we are not collecting that information as we've historically done, nor sharing that out as we've historically done. We're choosing to partner with all of our schools that have agreed to be partners for the direct admissions program, as that process is free application for students interacting and choosing their schools through the direct admissions portal. So that's just to provide clarity there. So it's a long answer for a relatively short question.
So Richard Hardy asked about the students should only scan one QR code. Yes, they should only scan their QR code on their letter. If I scan Dustin's on his letter, it's going to take me to Dustin's enrollment page. So each student's QR code is personalized to them. A new update from last year is this year, when it gets to the enrollment page, it does say, "Hey, Mark, congratulations," whereas last year it did not. So there's no way to see. So we have first names on there this year to where it can be identified on the enrollment page. The nice thing about this year's letter is so the page that has all the schools in the QR code, that page on the back, the student's name and address is on the back of that page. So hopefully you can see on the back that a student, whoever's letter it is, but again, they must scan their own or else they are going to go to somebody else's. And yes, so Dustin kind of alluded to this in terms of the scholarship deadline. So MTSU has a scholarship deadline of December 1st. They must be through the application process and do the scholarship application by December 1st. UTC, they need to have an application file on file by December 1st and then have a scholarship application completed by February 1st. No other institution asked for that, but the admissions, the enrollment, being able to claim your spot at the school, all the schools goes through June 1st. But like the scholarship deadlines for that does kind of come into play for those two schools. But again, once they receive their letter, their options are open. They can scan, they can claim from that time they receive their letter or when it's in their THEC student portal, all the way up to June 1st. They can claim their spot. After June 1st, they're going to need to do their traditional application. If they scan it complete, the enrollment form, and then realize they want to go backwards, again, they were going to have to go through the traditional application at that point in time also.
Before we hop to this one, Richard's question also prompted me to want to provide just some brief clarity on if a student applies for an application for admission to a school that is a direct admissions partner prior to getting that letter, if you all are tracking me. So UTC is a direct admissions partner for this program. But the student, a particular student has already individually applied for admission to UTC. Please do not have them select UTC again in their direct admissions portal. So one of the issues we saw come up during year one is our post-secondary partners saw multiple applications coming in from different sources for the same student, and to save them some time because they have to do things on their end to process it all. So in other words, just to try to make it simple, have your students through whatever mechanism, through individual applications, through the direct admissions portal, through the Common App, whatever it is, please only have them apply to these institutions or accept their spots one time. That just will save the life of our admissions partners, our enrollment management people at all these post-secondary institutions on the back end. So wanted to take opportunity, since we were kind of talking about it with scanning the code, making sure you understood what we're asking of the students to only accept or apply to each individual school one time. Scrolling down through here, I think we're caught up. All right, folks, it's 10:30. I mean, we're not, but what other questions may you have that we can answer for you to provide clarity while we have some time together? I'd love somebody to be brave and unmute and ask a question like you're a live, real person. I love those people. But while you have us, please take advantage. Make sure we can answer anything for you before we cut you loose back to your locations.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dr. Joyce Snyder, and I am 2 years removed from high school counseling. I just returned to a charter world. And so I'm not clear on the entire process. And so, but from my notes, I'm assuming that this direct admissions is indicating that you have partnered with schools and free applications are available to students who apply in this portal. So could you just give, for those who may just be totally new to this, a brief overview, which is what I thought we were initially going to do. And so I've grasped things here and there. Just want to be clear on what I'm doing.
Sure. Great question. I tell you what, I'm going to do, I may not answer exactly the way you want. I may provide a 30, 60-second overview, but I'm going to point you back to our direct admissions communication page where we have our stored and saved recorded webinars that you can go back that will color in and provide all that great detail. But essentially, the short version is the college application. There's data and research that shows that a college application is a barrier for some students and families to the college going process. So Tennessee was approached 1 or 2 years ago now about, would we be interested in creating a pilot program looking at this research from a new angle, adding in financial aid information to it? We said yes. And so we did this last year as a pilot study where we sent out multiple letters. We had 5 different, Mark, the word just left me, 5 different control groups looking at different levels of treatments for each individual control group to see about what the insertion of financial aid information would do to the direct admissions process. And so the process for direct admissions really is globally is it removes that barrier for some students and families to be able to successfully take that next step to post-secondary education. That is the short version. And so this is just what we're doing in Tennessee, and you can go back and you're welcome to watch any of those longer webinars to color in all the other ins and outs about it at that point.
Excellent. Thank you.
You certainly. Mark, should I add anything there to try to, just condense it? I don't know that I would.
I would just say, feel free to reach out to us. It's a lot. It's a lot of information. We could go over it again. But the communications that Dustin put down in there, that link is a great place to kind of get familiar with the program, watch the webinars. We've done a lot of them. But again, we're here. We're going to put our emails in the chat for you all. Feel free to ask questions. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. All right, Sandy, I want to talk about your post before everybody hops off. So let's use it as a specific example. ETSU has asked students to apply directly, even though there is direct admission. Yes, we have not asked, nor would we ask our post-secondary partners to change their normal application process. That is not what we're just providing, a different avenue to the same goal. So if ETSU or any school that's a direct admission partner is asking students to apply to their institution now, apply early, then students are welcome to do that. If a student wants to do that, and any school is asking them to do that early, my first question to the student back to the school is like, hey, I would like to apply to your school now, but I really want to wait to the free application through the direct admissions portal. Are you willing to provide me a waiver, a voucher to go ahead and apply now? Let them see what they say. And then that leads up. So we're never going to ask the schools to do anything different than what they do. They're in their job to recruit students, and they have their mechanisms for doing that. This is just another avenue to recruit students or to provide students more opportunities for schools they may have never considered historically because they just wouldn't have considered them. And so amongst many other reasons why we do the program. So there are schools that are going to do that. Those decisions are going to be student to student specific, student to family specific. Those conversations can happen between counselors and students. If you have high achieving students that need to get in now, we understand. We're not asking anybody to necessarily change their behavior. This is just another avenue to provide a free and a more seamless way to accept spots at post-secondary institutions than what previously existed. Did that help provide some clarity? Do I need to add anything more?
That does. I'm just curious. Okay. So we just need to make sure that student, if they apply directly to ETSU and do Tennessee Direct Admit, they don't choose ETSU as one of their 5 institutions.
That's correct.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt them if they do. It just kind of uses a spot. Like ETSU and all the universities are deduping their file and taking out the duplicates, but if they claim it on one or they apply through one, we're asking the institutions on the other end to not say, well, your direct admissions doesn't work. You need to go through our normal application. Okay. Just like we're not telling students to not do their normal application and only do us. Right. Direct admissions is just another way for students to apply. So looking at Connie's.
Can I ask one question about that? We have students with a weighted GPA that sometimes can make a difference. If we notice that, we just need to tell them to apply directly to the institution to get the advantage of the weighted GPA. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'll kind of answer that as I go through this. So Connie asked about if they don't see the institution on their letter, our information is based off of what the university has given us. It can vary from what their traditional application is because again, this is direct. They're allowing everybody in that gets them on their letter as long as they can provide the information or as long as their transcripts withhold the information that was given to us. And so if you don't see a school, but you know they're on the cusp or they get a new ACT score or say in December, their new transcript comes in and their GPA has risen, they can always apply through the traditional application. That we cannot retroactively go back and fix our letter to meet those requirements or the new GPA or the new ACTs from October. But if they get that score, or if you know, like a school does like conditional application or admissions, have your students apply. Just because it's not on the letter doesn't mean that it's done. They can't go to that school. It's based off the information that we were given to us from you all and also from the institutions. And so again, like an ETSU, they do weighted GPA, MTSU does weighted GPA, and this goes to scholarships also. They may be eligible for more money based off of super score or whatever. We only use the highest composite score, and we only have one score. We don't have sub scores. So it's very important to send transcripts. It's very important to send ACT scores, because it may qualify them for more money. Or if you have a student that's on the cusp and they don't see a school, but you feel like they can get in, apply through the traditional application. Doesn't mean it's a no.
Which I think you said this, I was trying to monitor some things, but just to also provide maybe another layer of clarity, once the data pools occur and that information for that particular student is frozen. So in other words, when we pull their data, whatever their GPA is, whatever their ACT is, and whatever institutions are admitting them based off those data points, that information is frozen, can't be changed. Should that information for any individual student change after the fact, it's the student's responsibility to reach back out to the institution, letting them know that that data has changed, what it's changed to, provide the required documentation to update that information. Then the school has the ability to revise an offer or make an offer to a student at that point. But it will not be through the direct admissions portal. It will be when the student replies back individually to those students if that data changes after the data pool. When will the portal have the link for direct admissions, Mark?
So we're working through that on when it gets uploaded to when it's going to be uploaded and available. For this first round, for sure, I can tell you that it will be available by September 21st for the first data pool. Past September 21st, it may be earlier, but they should at least have it by that September 21st, because we know letters will start to arrive by then. So essentially, we're trying to hit a moving target in terms of like printing and when the stuff is being printed and sent. And so when we know that the letter is being sent and it's hitting mail and all that, that's when we will put the URL in their THEC student portal. And so that could be September 14th, that week of September 14th. But we know for sure that it will be in there by September 21st. So just kind of, yeah, it's in between that time frame.
While we're going to have a few more minutes for any questions and answers, I'm actually going to take control right quick and share with you all just the corporate mechanism that we have for direct admissions college application exploration month. And so we have our college application exploration month at THEC is traditionally the month of September. You can see now up on your screen how we have 5 weeks of college application exploration month when it happens. Essentially, week 1 is the intro, week 2 is exploring colleges, week 3 is Why Apply week leading up to Why Apply Day on September 18. It has a link on this page where you can download and the Why Apply. We're asking you to share your stories, post outside your office, your classroom about why you applied to college and what it did for you so your students can read that. All of this leads up to week 4, which is Claim Your Spot TN week. So this is the week that we have set aside for the month of September that we're asking schools to create some type of corporate group mechanism where your students can interact with their forms together. You can take pictures, you can celebrate them, you can use social media. I want to be clear on 2 points. So we have this week, Claim Your Spot TN week, where we're asking to do organized corporate things together with your senior class, your school, whatever you want to do. We are not telling you to tell your students to wait until this week to do it. So I know it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. So just to try to be clear on what we're saying. Our partners, our post-secondary partners, when students get their forms, they want the students interacting with their forms. And frankly, we do too. We don't want them to wait on their forms, but we do like the idea of schools creating a formalized group celebration that you can do where you can take pictures and have them sign things and do things that they accepted their spot at these schools. And so that is going to be that 4th week of September. Claim your spot TN week. If you want to create a group corporate thing that you can do that week to celebrate them, we are recommending it. We're asking you to do that. I hope that doesn't confuse you all on what we're trying to accomplish. And so our post-secondary admissions and enrollment management people, they definitely don't want us, and we agree with them. We don't want students to wait with their letters until this week. If everything falls in line with our timeline, students should receive their letters sometime during this week 3. And so when they get them that week, if they want to interact with them, great. We encourage that. We want them to do it. If you have created an event for this week 4 and you're going to do a corporate group thing where you celebrate them and you do it together en masse, also great. It's just another avenue for students to be able to interact with their forms however they want to individually. All right. So just trying to provide some clarity from there for you all about what we're doing for College Application Exploration Month and what we're recommending to do with regard to receiving their letter and how and when they should interact with it. Do I need to provide any more clarity there, Mark?
You're good.
Okay, folks, 10:45, we have a whole hour. And so Mark and I will stay here and our colleagues as long as you have questions that need answering, but we're not going to handcuff you here. Again, this is being recorded. We will put it up for anybody to go back and watch. But before you all start dropping off or heading to your other responsibilities, please unmute or chat in questions we can answer for you.
Suzette did answer this in the chat, but somebody asked, like, once they get their letter, and so I think you talked about it, but they get their letter, they go to the enrollment page, they choose the schools that they're interested in. So again, 2 community colleges, 2 TCATs, and up to 5 four-year institutions. Once they claim their spot there, there will be asked a few questions. They'll make some acknowledgments, and then they will submit it. That information comes back to us. We then take that information and put it into FAST. Institutions pull that information from FAST, and then they reach out to these students about next steps. And that's kind of how the process works there. And so hopefully then from there, and this is like an ETSU kind of thing, they have a supplemental form that has more questions that we are not able to house on our enrollment page. So they may ask them to do a supplemental application, but again, once they claim their spot through direct admissions, if that is the only way they've applied, they should be going to the supplemental page, answering the supplemental page, not going through the full application process. And so they will go there, they'll answer the questions, provide transcripts, do whatever they need to do. And then from there, they'll start to move through the traditional, college application admissions process.
Jessica, I'm going to get to you in 1 second. My colleague Suzette reminded me, next Friday is our regular Friday webinars. It's our back to school webinar. So next Friday, the webinars for TN series that I host on Fridays, the last Friday of each month at 10 a.m. Next Friday is our first of that that monthly series that we will launch. As she mentioned, next Friday, I'm going to have a live unboxing of the Path to College mailers that we have sent out, and we're pretty sure all of you should have already or should be receiving now, to go through that, what's included and how to use that for our College Application Exploration Month and all the things Path to College. So I will send out the reminders for that webinar to register for it, so you all can join us next Friday at 10 a.m. And then hopefully after that, you'll see less of Mark and I in these webinars, because I feel like that's the majority of what we're doing. So thanks for that reminder, Suzette, and I'll send that out to you all so you all can join that. Jessica, what question do you have that we can answer for you?
Thank you, Dustin. And hello, Mark. My question is I work for Arkansas State University in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Hello
Welcome.
Your next door neighbor. And I want to know, do you have a lot of colleges outside of Tennessee that have opted in to do this? or is it just strictly colleges in Tennessee?
Currently, it's only colleges in Tennessee, because we have the mechanism of Tennessee Promise and it gives them that information. We don't have anybody outside of Tennessee. That's an interesting thought that I've never thought about. So, if you're interested in possibly
You want to
joining.
throw us some money and,
But I do know other
Okay.
states are doing some type of direct admissions. It is expanding. I know Illinois has one.
We do too.
Illinois. Yeah.
We do also, but we're just curious about our students from Tennessee because we care about them too. So just
Yeah.
wanted to know what that looked like.
Hey,
hey, great
let's,
question. Let's have a conversation offline and just,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No, thanks for joining us today. It's always glad to have neighboring friends to hear about what we're trying to do over here in the volunteer state. So, will the FAST report reflect which institutions that the individual student claimed a spot, specifically the school counselor view?
We are working through that process. We're hoping to have a report that will be for you all, the school counselors, where you can go and see and pull, and it will show you which institutions the students have chosen. That is something that, again, when we going back to like the letters and the PDFs and all the different things, we felt like getting you a version of the letter was top priority, and then getting you where the students chose was top priority. So we were working through that and how that's going to look and what that report looks like. If not, you will get that report. It just may be manually done by me, which is also fine, but we will get you that report somehow.
As we're pivoting towards, concluding, I'm going to go ahead and really quickly give you all some credit. I told Mark offline prior to today that we had one of these Q&A sessions last Friday, and I didn't expect a lot of different questions compared to last Friday. So I'm going to give you all some credit that this is wholly different than what we answered last week, which I think is great because I told them I wasn't sure that I needed to have was in it putting up the recording to share, but it's so vastly different than the questions we received last week that I'm grateful. And so thank you all so much for great questions today. This recording will go up and be shared with everybody since it does provide additional clarity that necessarily we didn't get into last week. So who do I email about making sure I signed up to have College App Month resources mailed to me? That's going to be me. There it is. And so, Wendy, that's me. And then we'll double check it for you. Other questions, everyone? Clarity on direct admissions while you have Mark and I. I tell you what, I will go ahead and call it. Mark and I are going to hang around as people drop off. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Friday morning. We appreciate you. Should anything come up and you need us for clarity, you have access to us. Please reach out to us for anything that we can assist you with as everybody drops out of here. Thank you again. If any of you are hanging back to ask any additional questions while people are hopping off, please do that. We're going to hang out here until we're down to single digits, but appreciate you all. Thank you all so much. And we'll share this back out. Reach out to us if you need anything at all. Have a great day. Yes, it's being recorded. We'll share it back out. You got it. You got it. You have a great day. You have a great day. Excellent. All right. Well, I am going to officially stop it at this point. Going once, going twice. All right. Thanks, folks. Ending it now. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you, man.